Hello there and welcome back to the channel where today we are back with a Steam summer sale video, and to be specific, the top 10 Tycoon management games that you can buy for the cheaper prices available in the Steam summer sale. Of course, none of these games you need, none of these games you specifically wanted in the first place, but they're 75% off and it's probably a good idea to get them while you can. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the first game which I have selected today. The first game we have in the list is a very popular and very well-known game indeed. It is, of course, Prison Architect, as you can see in front of you. And if you, by some miracle, don't know what Prison Architect is, it is a game which allows you to become the warden of your very own prison. You get to build the prison from scratch. You get to control who can be in your prison, the workers, the types of prisoners you would take in, the types of services, and the types of conditions you offer. And with some of the DLC that's been offered through the Paradox bought the game over recently. Some of them DLC they've released recently allows you to expand your services with stuff like Psych Ward, prisoners, and an island DLC as well, which is not a part of a game I have played yet. But the game is 75% off. Personally, having played it for hundreds of hours in my life, it is a damn enjoyable, damn fun game to while away hundreds of hours in just figuring out how to make the perfect prison. There's a lot of management, there's a lot of objects, and it even has a pretty darn good workshop scene if you're into that. So I definitely recommend that you pick up Prison Architect for the $5.95 that it is available here on Steam for. And since the Psych Ward DLC is also on sale, I wouldn't say it's worth £3, I would say. It's not got the best of reviews. I personally enjoyed it, but it's a fun idea, at least, if you want to fiddle around with it. And for £3, you're not going and breaking the bank by buying it at the very least. There are many game development-based Tycoon games available out there. We could make a top 10 list of the ones that are available to date. But one of the best ones I've ever personally played is Game Dev Studio. It's one of the more little-known games as well, with only a small amount of reviews on Steam and a small amount of actual players. However, you can see from those small reviews, very positive ratings indeed. It's got a very nice, cute little pixely art style. It's got some nice in-depth management controlled as well. Some of those controls involve it's got full modding support now as well. I forgot about that. Sorry, I'm just reading the Steam page. I completely forgot about that. Anyway, it's got that's not good for videos. It's got the whole game development process, but you're able to hire a series of different workers in the art and the sound and the storying and then the storyboarding and all of that kind of stuff, and the sound design as well. And you have to figure out their skills and their working nuances, etc., etc. From there, you have a series of researchable items in your game engines and the like. From there as well, you're able to release updates for games, adding more content, adding DLC, and adding expansion packs, or even just sequels to games that have been successful. It also comes with quite a lot of cool marketing techniques as well. They've got bloody YouTubers in this game to advertise your games with, which is kind of realistic, to be honest. A lot of people do that. I'm surprised it's not in more game dev games. Overcrowd Commuter Map is a game which released only last year, the 6th of June, so that's just about a year ago now. Damn, time goes fast. It's got very positive reviews, as you can see on Steam, so not just me backing up the game, but 465 people, to be precise, also back me up on this, it seems. The Overcrowd is a very, very enjoyable game. It allows you to basically build an underground. If you've been in London, the kind of London underground theme is what they were going for. With all these subway trains, and I'm sure they've got better names. I just call them trains, which angered some people, I found. But yes, it's got an awful lot of good designing and building techniques. You've got a ton of items. You've got a ton of additional ways to make money on and above your tickets for trains and the like. You've got an interesting staff and staff mechanics for getting stuff done. You've got stuff like cleaning, for example, which you have to get done, or it will heavily affect the ratings of your station, and they'll just go somewhere else. I mean, you don't need to get a train where you are. They can go and get a train anywhere, essentially. Apart from that, It's got multiple game modes, like it says there. Some of those game modes would be the campaign, there's a sandbox mode, and there's some other kind of scenario modes for you to play through. It has a lot of content to it, and it is, for an early access game, a very good deal at £9.74, and it's undoubtedly going to go up in price when it releases out of early access, so I'd recommend you get it while you can. Our fourth game today is Rise of Industry, and it's a game I realize I don't have on Steam. I have it on a different account. I have played it, but I don't have it on Steam. I don't know why. Anyway, put your entrepreneurial skills to the test to create and optimize an integrated production line, if you want to quote the entirety of the sentence of the Steam page. It is, however, essentially a kind of management simulation game of industrial complexes. You have to do the actual production, you have to manage the production, the transportation, the sales, all of the good stuff, all of the interesting stuff, and it's kind of based in these towns. It's quite a nice looking game in terms of graphics. If graphics is how you base your game purchases on, you're gonna have a very happy time to know that the graphics in Rise of Industry look gosh darn cute. However, despite the cute gosh darn graphics, we've also got the great in-depth gameplay and the mostly positive reviews from everyone else, not just me, who has played the game. It's of course not a perfect game, but it is a pretty good game, and it's a pretty good representation of the 20th century industrial era. It's also got a DLC. I should definitely point out all the DLCs are also off the prices reduced as well, which if you want to get the whole pack, I recommend you do at this point, because, you know, if you're going in, it's a Steam summer sale, you may as well go all in. The next game we're back with here is Project Hospital, and it is one of my all-time favorite Tycoon games I have ever played. I don't play many games for very long, so 29 hours for me in a game is a gosh darn long time, and I need to stop saying gosh darn. However, alongside the game being reduced by 40%, you can also buy its newest DLC, the Hospital Services, for a 10% reduction. And while that's not as much of a reduction as 40 gosh darn percent, 10% is still pretty good, and the Hospital Services add quite a lot to the game. But before we discuss the DLC, we will discuss what Project Hospital is all about. If you enjoy or know about Two Point Hospital or Theme Hospital, you'll know they're more of a comedic take on your hospital simulation management gameplay, whereas Project Hospital here is all about the serious and down-to-earth nature of simulation. Everything is essentially as realistic as possible in a game. There are a wide range of diseases and infections and all the good, you know, hospital bad stuff. There's also a wide selection of departments and staff and different types of, what do you call them, objects, that's what I was looking for, that you can place in these departments, which are all specialized for the specific work of that department. That Hospital Services DLC we mentioned adds a series of extra departments to the game, which is why I recommend you buy it. Departments such as the morgue, it's got a different name, I call it the morgue, where you can just dissect your patients who have died, which is so good. And you get shops as well. Who doesn't love a good hospital shop and a good hospital pharmacy as well, which are all in that new DLC. So I highly recommend you buy it. This is one of my favorite games ever. I mean, if you don't buy it, I will be disappointed. SimAirport is a pretty self-explanatory name. It's a simulation of an airport, and it's a very, very enjoyable game to play indeed. It released fully out of early access on the 29th of February 2020 after an extensive early access period, and it allows you to simulate and manage essentially every single part of an airport you could ever dream of. You can not only build your airport and all the little departments you have, such as the entrance, the security, the baggage reclamation. I don't think reclamation is the right name. You can see in the trailer, there's lots of trees. Who doesn't love a game with trees? But yes, there's also an extensive research section. There is a lot of good management for flight. There's a lot of good in-depth stuff for fuel as well, and baggage, like we mentioned earlier. Overall, it just is a very good overall broad general management simulation on your airport experience, essentially. I mean, if you are wanting to play something a bit different, then I'd recommend it. Transport Fever 2 is naturally the sequel to the incredibly popular Transport Fever 1. It is a classical transport simulation game, essentially allowing you to transport, not just transport, so to simulate a series of different transportation elements in the world. It can start from challenges dating back up to the 1850s, and you can research and increase and adapt your technologies from there in the kind of open world that you can create these transportation on. You can transport people, you can transport freight through like stuff like trains, from planes to bloody, there's a plane for you right now, to cars, to trucks and vans and whatnot, from cities to farms to different countries, whatever you want, you can do it. And it's an enjoyable game if you're into that kind of transport simulation area. It's not an area I am that invested in, if that makes sense. But if you're into some of these transportation games, I'm sure you'll find Transport Fever as a very good purchase, and for 25% off for quite a new game, I would say it's pretty well worth it. Startup Company was a small indie development game that I remember coming across that on a random website way before it released and playing a demo of it. It was fun back then, and it's still fun now that it's had its full release on Steam. If you're unaware of what Startup Company is, it's a business simulation game allowing you to simulate essentially a new technology business. You can complete work given to you by our companies, or you can create your own products, essentially, for you to offer. These can be services, creating your own social medias, your own shopping websites, and the like. You'll have to ensure, as you can see here, you invest in the correct hosting and not only the development as well, because if you don't have good hosting for your websites, then you're not going to have a good customer and user experience, meaning you'll lose money. Essentially, you have to spend money to make money, of course. If you're into Software Inc., that's another popular game. Startup Company is definitely a game to look into. It's bloody well fun when you really delve deep into this company management aspect. Anyway, for 33% off, having just released out of early access and increased in price because of that, $6.89 is the cheapest you're ever gonna find it. Farm Manager 2018, as you can see here, it was not a well-received game by the masses. It had a mixed reception back in 2018, but personally, despite some of its definite flaws, I found it a very enjoyable game, and that's why I recommend you purchase it right now in here. This is the cheapest you're gonna get it, £3.09 for a game which will be good depending on your opinion. It's a bit of more of an opinionated game as to whether or not you enjoy it. But for £3, you're not going to lose much money if you don't like it. Alongside that, you can also get the DLC, which is a 40% off for £2, which is just as good. Apparently, I have not seen the reviews for that. It's got positive reviews, so people like the DLC more than the game. Go figure. Anyway, if you don't know what Farm Manager 2018 is about, it's about managing a farm. Duh, it's your farming simulator without all the micro controlling of having to drive every single bloody thing around. There is a selection of crops and animals you can produce and farm and cultivate and the like. There's a ton of special machinery for different productions and just, to drive around for fun. You've got processing plants and farm buildings, just going in the order of what they're saying here, for taking you the stuff that you will grow and that you will produce from animals and processing it into a more valuable and worthwhile product for your bank account indeed. Alongside that, it's got a sequel coming very soon. Farm Manager 2020 is coming out in 2 months' time. So if you want to get a taste or, just a cheaper version of that upcoming game, then why not go for Farm Manager 2018? The final game we have on this list is the good old Project Highrise. It's a game that many people enjoy. You can see it's got very positive reviews on Steam, so you don't just need to trust me. You can trust all 2,307 people that have reviewed it. Alongside that, though, it's only £4.49 right now. It's 70% off. Save a tenner. And alongside that, so is all the DLC. It's all 50% off. So, I already own all of them. So, if you want to accidentally added that card as well. Goody gumdrops. If you do though want to play or do Highrise and all its separate DLC, this is the best time to do so. If you're unaware of what exactly Project Highrise is, despite being, you know, a game, it allows you to basically build this kind of high-rise tower in a city. You get to control the stuff that's built inside it. You control utilities, you control who you rent out your essentially areas to, and how much people pay you. You're essentially a landlord with a bit more control, I guess, about what is exactly done in your store. And it's a very fun thing, and it's bloody high. I'm gonna tell you, that's a high building, that is. Anyway, that is it for today. That was my recommendations for Tycoon simulation management games in the Steam Summer Sale. If you have any games you think I should have mentioned or you think I shouldn't have mentioned, you can put them in the comments, essentially. But until then, I'll thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the simulation version of this video very, very soon.